Hello and welcome to the demo of Collectiflow, overdue credit collection and control app specifically built for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Collectiflow provides credit controllers with tools that support, automate, and enhance your overdue debt collection process. After the demo, please visit collectiflow.com, where you will find plenty of tutorials, product features and benefits, email templates, and license pricing. Today, we will go through the main functionality of Collectiflow and understand what exactly the app does, how it works, and how it helps your organization to improve the overdue debt collection process. We will start with a general overview of Credit Controller Role Center and credit control tasks. One of the main features of Collectiflow is automated creation of tasks that Credit Controller has to carry out to successfully collect an overdue debt from customers. That saves Credit Controllers a huge amount of time, as they can focus on chasing the debt, instead of finding who and when to contact. Credit Controllers can review their dashboard on a specific role center that gives them a quick access to all areas of credit control. On the left, the Role Center shows a number of today's tasks assigned to a credit control user, completed tasks, and due tasks. Below is the dashboard that displays a number of customers to whom Credit Controller is assigned, outstanding and overdue invoices, disputed invoices that are put on hold, and a number of payment plans, which we'll talk about later in this demo. On the right side, the Role Center shows a list of credit tasks that are assigned to a credit controller that is logged into the system. Open a task card to view detailed information about this credit collection task. The General tab has basic information about the task, such as customer name, credit controller, overdue invoice number, and amount. Information part gives more details about the invoice, such as document date, due date, total balance of the customer, together with a specific customer contact for credit control. You can click on the email to open Outlook or any other default emailing app. Click on the phone number to make a call, using an associated app, if you have such installed. The Statistics tab gives much more detailed overview of customer invoice and payment status, history of payments that were on time or late, open documents, and much more information that helps Credit Controller in making decisions on how the call with this customer should go. You can add credit comments on the task that are saved even after the task is completed. Or you can add credit comments for the customer directly. This will only be visible by users with Credit Controller permissions. The task has many quick access links that helps Credit Controller to quickly navigate through the system. You can also see previous activity for this invoice, or this customer, or view all credit tasks completed, or open, for this invoice. These tasks are automatically created, based on a dunning plan, and these dunning plans can be specific for each customer group, which we will talk about a bit later. As you can see, all of this is helping Credit Controller to find required information, lightning fast. Each task allows quick activities to be taken from the task card directly, that are usually a result of the call that Credit Controller just had with the customer. This considerably reduces time that Credit Controller needs to spend on admin tasks. Such activities are sending dunning letter, which is usually carried out by the system automatically, blocking invoice or customer, sending internal email to escalate an issue with a payment, or sending customer email with this invoice or any other of their invoices attached. For example, after a call with the customer, they have decided to dispute the invoice. Select Block Invoice and click to complete it. System adds specific on-hold code for the invoice and marks the activity as completed for audit purposes. Now the document number on this task shows red, to inform that this invoice is no longer a part of the dunning cycle. More on this when we go through the setup section. When the task is done, Credit Controller will mark it as completed. The completed task disappears from their task list and is put into an archive. Other tasks for this invoice will be automatically removed overnight because the invoice is disputed, so it is no longer a part of the dunning cycle. And new tasks will be created if there are other undisputed overdue invoices for this customer. There are other things that you can do with the credit task. For example, if customer could not be reached on a call, the credit controller can postpone the task to a later date. This will shift all other tasks for this invoice to make sure that following tasks are scheduled in the predefined intervals. All tasks, open or closed, are deleted when the invoice is no longer a subject of the dunning cycle. But archived tasks are not deleted unless you choose to do it. You can also create follow-up tasks. For example, if you had a call with the customer and need to follow it up with a new call, or check whether the payment was made as promised. When creating a follow-up task, set a task date, action code, what credit controller has to do, and any meaningful description, as this will show on credit controller's task list. It is important to note that follow-up tasks do not change dates of other tasks for this invoice. You can also cancel the task. The task is closed, but it does not affect other tasks in this dunning cycle. The final task action in this demo is creating a standalone task for the customer. Similar to follow-up task, select a due date, an action code that you want your credit controller to do, and put a description. The new task is not related to a specific invoice, but only to the customer. That means we can see it on the list of customers' credit control tasks, but it is not the same as other tasks, in a way that if the invoice is fully paid, or disputed, and other tasks are cleared overnight, this standalone task will not be removed, so credit controller can carry it out regardless of the status of the dunning cycle. Another great feature of Collectiflow is the ability to automatically complete sum of tasks. It is managed by action setup, for example, setting dunning letter to be sent automatically, or blocking the customer for shipments. You can also block the invoice, or send escalation letter to the credit manager. That saves credit controllers time, and potentially administration costs for the organization. When you are testing, and want to force running automated tasks, or the job queue did not run as expected, you can process automated tasks from this page, by clicking on Process Automated Tasks action. The system will complete all tasks that were marked to be processed automatically, and you will see them on the closed task list. In this case, all of them were sending dunning reminder letters to customers. The system did not actually send those emails yet, but created special credit notification entries that hold all information about outgoing emails. It will later be picked up by another job queue to distribute. Here you can see all those emails scheduled, and it provides a great way to test emails without actually sending them. Information here can be changed before sending. You can also preview the email by using the action preview. The email and the attachment are created using standard custom report layouts functionality, together with Microsoft Word. That means you can easily change layouts, saving you cost on software development. This is yet another great feature of Collectiflow. It allows to record what customers have promised to pay, and when, either as a single or multiple payments, and then automatically tracks the plan fulfillment whenever payment is allocated to the invoice. That highly contributes to improved cash flow and a better relationship with your customers. You can create a plan in a few different ways, but firstly let's see how to do it from the credit task, as it is one of the outcomes of a credit call. On the task, click to create payment plan. System creates a payment plan with the invoice for the task assigned to it automatically, but you can choose to add more invoices to the plan. You can also add payment method. For now it is only for your information or reporting purposes. And then create a schedule of payments that was agreed with the customer. It can be a single or multiple payments. Then you need to activate the plan, as only active plans are tracked for payments. It also suggests sending a confirmation email to this customer. Let's confirm this and see what that email looks like. To see the email, go to Scheduled Notifications and preview the payment plan email. This is managed with custom report layouts and Word, so you can change layouts easily to match your organization templates. Now let's see how to create a payment plan from customer ledger entries for multiple invoices. From the customer ledger page, select one or several invoices for the same customer and same currency, and then click to create a payment plan from the Actions pane. Easy as that. Again, create the schedule of payments and activate the plan. Next, let's see how Collectiflow tracks payments made against invoices on payment plans, and what information is given to you as a credit controller. Fulfillment of payment plans is tracked automatically whenever the cash receipt is posted or a payment is allocated to the invoice. Now let's find the first payment plan that partial payment was made to in the list of all payment plans. As you can see, the payment plan now has less remaining amount to pay, which is reflected on schedule lines as well as on the invoices as remaining amount. You can review detailed entries to check what was allocated to this particular plan. The other plan the payment was made to is now marked as completed, because it was paid in full. You can see that one of the payment plans is marked in red, because it is now late, according to the set schedule. The schedule itself shows lines in red that are late. This simple color scheme helps users to easily spot late plans. You might also notice that one plan below is not marked in red, even though it is late, because we set the grace period, currently 3 days, in the setup, to allow for late payment postings. Back to the completed payment plan. If you open the credit control task for this customer, it will show in customer's history to notify that this customer has had successfully paid one of their payment plans. And that is all for this fantastic feature that will transform the way you track promised payments from your customers. Another impressive feature of Collectiflow is customers' KPIs and payment trend dashboard that can be accessed from the customer list or card. It shows some basic credit control KPIs, such as percentage overdue or days sales outstanding, and also has a few graphs. First, balance vs overdue, that shows month-by-month customer sales, payments, balance and overdue balance. Below is the overdue balance split, that has a very effective way to show how the overdue balance is managed, whether it is disputed, on payment plan, or it is not covered. On the right side you can see customer aging balance, that is split into buckets. And if you like numbers better than graphics, you can check the year in numbers for this customer, that are shown on the balances versus overdue part. Based on this, or any other information, you can profile customers into segments that have different credit collection approach when they enter the dunning cycle. For example, VIP or high-risk customers. This is all done on the Customer Card in Credit Control tab. Firstly, you can define your contact within customer's organization, that is your primary contact for credit control. The email address from this section will be used by Collectiflow on all outgoing automated credit emails. Then you'd set the credit controller, who will receive credit tasks for this customer, statement group code and dunning profile code, to differentiate the approach this customer receives when they enter the dunning cycle. You can also view credit comments that are separate from standard comments and are only visible for users with at least credit view permissions. Or you can edit these comments as well, if permissions allow. If you'd like to prevent anyone, apart from credit controllers, to make changes to credit control information, then you need to switch off Allow Credit Changes on Customer in the Collectiflow setup. Now that area is not editable to users, even with edit permissions on Customer, but can be changed using Credit Control Details page, that is accessible only for users with edit permissions on Credit Control. If your organization has a process of dealing with disputed invoices, you can utilize the Disputes ledger. Dispute can be created from customer ledger entries, or from the credit task, as an outcome of the call. Select a reason code, based on which system calculates the expected closure date. And, if required, assign the dispute to a specific user. An active dispute entry is created, where you can add comments or assign it to the specific user for action. Creating a dispute for an invoice removes the invoice from the dunning cycle, hence on the task it is marked in red. The dispute is now attached to the document, and can be accessed via task, customer, or ledger entries. Activating the dispute also generates an email to the customer, if the feature is enabled in the setup. This is the standard layout of the outgoing email for the activated dispute. When the dispute is resolved, the entry can be closed. Select the outcome and the closure date. Dispute is removed from Open Dispute List, but the Closed Dispute entry is created. System also generates a dispute closure email to the customer, if this feature is enabled in the communication setup. If the dispute cannot be resolved, the invoice can be marked as a bad debt. Bad debts are managed separately, so the original dispute can be closed. Marking an invoice as bad debt creates a bad debt ledger entry. You can track the progress of the bad debt by adding comments to the entry. Invoice can be marked as bad debt without having dispute created, but straight from the customer ledger entries. To track the progress of bad debt, you can utilize the status code. Edit the list to change the status of the selected bad debt. You can delete the bad debt ledger entry if it was created by mistake or the debt is resolved. Bad debt also affects customers' KPIs. You can see the overdue split shows part of debt marked as bad debt, and the credit task will show customer having bad debts on the Statistics tab. As well as open disputes. And the last important feature of Collectiflow that we will see today, before going into details how this all hangs together, is sending customer statements. These are not standard statements, but specific Collectiflow statements that work together with customer profiles to determine what information is included in them. For example, you might not want to include credit memos that are not applied to invoices for high-risk customers, or exclude disputed invoices for VIP customers. Again, the system does not actually send statements, but creates credit notifications, which provides a great basis to test whether statements are formatted exactly how you want it to be for different customers. Finally, let's review what is possible to configure in Collectiflow, and how you can tailor it to best suit and improve your dunning processes. As we have finished on statements, let's see what can be done with statement groups. You can create as many distinct groups as you need to match requirements for different customer segments. On the statement group, you can select email and attachment layouts that are created using Word, define email subject and attachment name, and select what information goes into the statement for this group, whether you want to include disputed invoices, credit memos, have a separate section for overdue invoices, or include aging band. Next, let's move to dunning profiles. Similar to statement groups, you can define multiple dunning profiles. It is important to remember that only one dunning cycle can be created for a customer at one given time, and it is driven by the oldest overdue invoice, which is not disputed, not on payment plan, and the remaining amount is more than a threshold. Dunning profile levels determine what actions are created for a credit controller, and when. If the action is related to sending dunning reminder letters, then you can define different parameters for different levels. For example, first reminder email will look different than the second email, or the email that suggests stopping services for a customer. On some levels, you might want to add additional criteria, for example, to ignore small invoices until they are overdue for longer, and only create reminder emails, rather than calling customer for small debts. This allows controllers to focus on higher risk and larger debts, which saves them time and eventually it increases your cash flow. Each level has an action assigned, and you can create as many different actions as you need. Some tasks can be set to process automatically, such as sending dunning letters, or blocking the customer at the end of the dunning cycle, if the debt cannot be recovered. Or, as another example, at the same time you can block the invoice and handle it to legal team. And now the main Collectiflow setup. You can get more details in our tutorials, but let's highlight a few important features. You can set calendar, that is used when creating tasks, to make sure tasks are not created during the weekends or public holidays. And configure how statement emails are sent, or whom to assign a new dispute. On the administration page you can see all job queue entries that are used by Collectiflow. And here is yet another nice feature of Collectiflow, which is managing change logs. It is a standard Business Central functionality, but Collectiflow makes it much easier to use. Firstly, by suggesting what needs to be tracked, which you can switch on with a mouse click here. This is only relevant to credit control part of the system. And then these areas, setup or master data, have a quick access to the change log directly for the selected record. Here you can see it for the customer record. And lastly, the important setup, that manages communication on certain events, communication setup. It has a preset of a few tracked events: activating dispute, before invoice is due, closing dispute, activating payment plan, completing payment plan, and when payment plan becomes late. On each event you can configure the system to either send an email or create a credit task. For example, activating dispute, when enabled, will send customer an email, contents of which you can configure. Or you can request user to confirm whether to send communication on this event. And on late payment plan, the system will create a credit control task that you can configure. Also worth mentioning that we do have assisted setup, with the link to our web page with tutorials. You can also set up credit controllers with a specific role center that you've seen being used today. And of course, make sure to utilize app permissions that are organized in an easy-to-understand sets. That is all for this demo. We'd like to invite you to visit our website collectiflow.com for more tutorials, downloadable materials, and pricing. And make sure you check our other products too. But for now, it's a big thank you for watching this demo. We hope you've enjoyed it, and will download the trial from Microsoft App Source. And of course, if you have any further questions, please contact us at support@askit.co.uk. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.